In this session, I like to give you an overview of redesign approaches, because there are many of them. You could see it as a field of flowers, where you have flowers which differ with respect to their color or their size, and this is similar for process redesign approaches. And what I like to do is to discuss these different redesign approaches, and I would like to simplify that discussion with showing you a couple of dimensions which can be used to distinguish redesign approaches from each other. The first dimension I like to talk about has to do with the ambition behind the redesign approach. There are redesign approaches which are not that ambitious. What they aim to do is take a process through small incremental steps in an evolutionary way to a new level. And we refer to these approaches as transactional redesign approaches or exploitative, evolutionary techniques, if you will. Here on the other side of the spectrum are the approaches which are transformational in nature. What they aim to do is to achieve breakthrough innovations by challenging the fundamental assumptions behind existing processes. And they achieve, hopefully, very big leaps in performance improvement. Another way of distinguishing between process redesign approaches is to look at their nature or the character. And one family of redesign approaches that you can distinguish in this way are the analytical redesign approaches. And analytical redesign approaches are characterized by their rather formal nature, and they rely on tools and technology to reason about opportunities to improve a particular process. Here, the contrasting family are the creative redesign approaches, which much more rely on the creativity and the ingenuity of people. And what you try to get from these people is that in the dynamics of discussing about a particular process, that they come up with new, bright ideas of how to change a process. The final dimension I like to explain to you are the redesign approaches which differ in their viewpoint. What you can do is, when you start redesigning, is take an internal viewpoint and you start looking from the inside out. What that means is that you look at an existing process within the context of the organization where it is performed, take the existing objectives as a starting point, and see how you can improve a process. Here, the alternative approach would be to have an outward-looking approach, where you say, I'm looking through the eyes of the customer, for example, to reason about what it is that the process should bring about, what it should deliver. It's the outsider's perspective instead of the insider's perspective, which is central. And what you would also do is to look at opportunities that are there outside your organization, like technological developments, to take them into the equation to improve your particular process.